Hey, everybody, it's Dave and Kurt from the Dart Media Group. Welcome to episode 2 of Spartan Heads. On tonight's episode of Spartan Heads, we interview Southwestern tennis coach Brian Ebersold and hear how he became a Spartan, and we'll celebrate his 2020 tennis seniors.
We'll also talk about what if, the quarantine season, on what might have been for this team of Spartans and the 2020 seniors. And we get a special insight into his trophy room and find out what high school sport he won 3 consecutive sectionals in.
It wasn't tennis. Then we get to take a trip back in history with Dave Covington, the voice of the Spartans, in a segment we call History and Legends, as the voice talks about the best boys Spartan basketball players of the past.
Coach, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I grew up in Vincennes, Indiana, went to Vincennes Lincoln High School. What's strange for probably a lot of people is I never touched a racket pretty much through my high school days. I was a wrestler. That was pretty much what I did through junior high and high school. And that's where I found success through sports, was doing that. In that time frame, usually about the time my junior and senior year, we were approached, my father and I were approached to help kind of start a wrestling club. So we started getting the basics of that going, getting some information, getting it kind of kicked into gear. So about the time that I graduated, there was a wrestling program started that was, for the youngers. And then since I at that time I was kind of debating about was going to go off to college and wrestle, or if I was going to stay put. I went to staying at Vincennes University, going to school there, and because of that, my school asked if I would coach the junior high program with the high school, and that's kind of where I got into coaching, doing junior high wrestling and doing that. So that was, I was in college, I was fresh out of high school, and kids that were not too much younger than I was, and so I learned pretty quickly and fell in love with coaching. So pretty much since then, I've always been coaching. There was probably a time there that I wasn't coaching, but as soon as it got to be where he was playing sports, I was jumping right back into coaching again, whether it was baseball, basketball. I think I stayed away from soccer. That was probably a sport that I just need to stay away from. But then it got to about, what was it? It was about his, I want to say, what was it? I think he was going into 5th grade, and he was transferring into kid pitch baseball. And he was a great baseball player, enjoyed baseball, but he was like, I don't want kids throwing at me. And so I was like, well, you're gonna pick something because you're not gonna sit in front of a PlayStation all day. So let's figure out a sport. And he said, well, I got this flyer about tennis. And this is when we were in Indianapolis at the time, in Decatur Township on the southwest side. And I said, well, okay, I don't know anything about tennis, but let's go try it out. And he just picked up to that quickly, and was doing a lot of great work in Indianapolis, and a couple different organizations being a part of, and going through junior high there. And then we moved here, his 8th grade, into his 8th grade year, we moved here. So I quickly got connected with Coach Lakes, who was the boys tennis coach at the time, and him and I. And so I was kind of one of those helicopter dads. So when Dakota was a freshman that summer of his freshman year, I was that parent that was sitting in the stands, and Coach Lakes, who doesn't have a stranger in his life, said, you want to come down here and hit some balls with some people? And so kind of got connected that way, and then then he went through that whole process of being a volunteer coach, and then once there was a time where Chris, he decided that he wanted to be more involved in his son's life and coaching his son and going through his sports, because his son was in that Pee Wee League time. Asked if I would step in and take over the boys program at that time. And then later, a few years, I think it was about a year or two later, then it was, it happened the same way with the girls program. It was just kind of, hey, I want to help with my kids. Can you take this over? And at that time, Dakota had already graduated, but my daughter, Sydney, was coming in as being a freshman. So it was kind of taking over that program at the right time when my kids were at the right time. So
No, that's great. Now, you've had some remarkable runs as a coach for boys and girls.
Yeah.
Really some dominant. If I'm right, Dave Blondell, I believe there's a bunch of records that are housed in that house. Correct?
We've got a couple of them. We've got some nice county and conference and some things that are very memorable opportunities. We're shy on the sectional trophies, but we got one of those, and we were just shy just several times, especially with girls. I've been fortunate with the boys and girls to have some studs in our county, a part of our teams. My first year coaching, I had Dakota as a senior. I had Cody Simpson. I had Isaac Bush and Caleb Tinnell. Those four seniors. And then Dakota, Isaac, and Caleb, they were challenging each other. So each one could beat one the other day. And so my 1, 2, 3, their senior year was just crazy. It was just crazy. So we had some great, first year coaching on that was pretty nice. And then coming into coaching with the girls, having Abby Sweet, Haley Bowman, and Jenna Kuntz, having those three, bam, you had those handed over to me as a head coach. It was a nice gift, on that. So the problem always that I've had with those types of programs is then you got the graduating class, then you're done. Then you got to build up another program, and so we're kind of in both sessions. We're in that now. We have with the boys. I got some great young kids coming up. The Papano boys, man, they're just following Declan's great career, 4-year career at Southwestern. I got these Papano boys that are just then you got even Hunter, who's even a younger one, who's itching to play some high school sports. He's going crazy to play some high school sports, and so we have future looks pretty good when it comes to that. Girls in, same thing. We got some great young athletes that have got to see Abby and Haley and Jenna play at high levels and be a part of that, and then that's just going to transfer over in a few years where we're going to have another dominant program. Not that we won't have one soon. You never know what's on the other side of the court just yet. But we have some opportunities to have some very gifted, because we just have some very gifted athletes who are picking up tennis rackets, and that's helping us out on that stream.
Talk a little bit about the middle school program. You last year got some of the middle school, junior high involved. And man, I think that's going to be a big thing for your programs, both boys and girls.
And Dave, it's a great point. It is, you started fostering talent before the talent was there. You were cultivating the interest in the kids to come over and watch, because everyone, there's a reality. And when you're a high school junior and senior, you don't know it. But the reality is, the 9, 10, and 11-year-old little girls, they know, wow, that's Abby Sweet. Ooh, that's Jenna Kuntz. Ooh, that's, and the same thing with the boys, right? So they knew who Dakota is. They knew who Isaac was. They knew who Cody was in your tennis team. And so you reaching out to them and providing them an opportunity to get involved, it serves two purposes. You're getting them in pro-social behavior, right, and pro-social activities. But the second thing is, Coach, you're also cultivating talent.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's what, and that's where, I finally got to a point where I got tired of seeing these great athletes go to soccer, and we need soccer players and we need track stars. But I got, I was like, what? I need to have something that enticing them, putting a racket in their hand, and hook them in and bring them into the whole process of, hey, tennis is fun, and that's what my whole philosophy of coaching is based upon that. I could be a hard-nosed coach. I've scared a few kids in my time, but for the most part, my philosophy is if we're not having fun at what we're doing, I'm losing as a coach, because the kids have so many other stresses, whether it's at home or in the books at school or whatever it might be. They're having their stress levels already at a high end. And me as a coach, I should be putting such a stressful opportunity on their hearts and their heads to make them play. I usually, if they're going to give me 100%, it's because they love the sport, they love their school, and hopefully they care for their coach. And but if they hate all three, then you're stuck.
And then you're leading the example the correct way. In our opinion, is that if you're not out having fun, look, we're going to take it serious. We're here to win. We're here to win. But man, when that tennis ball flies over and hits somebody else in the shoulder and they weren't looking, that's funny. And it's okay to have a good time about it. It's okay to have team spirit. It's okay to support your teammates. So Coach, obviously you got a passion for people. You got a passion for teaching. And so let's transition the next subset of this conversation to a little bit about what you do when you're not coaching. What's your full-time job? What do you do for a living?
I am the preacher at Flat Rock Christian Church. Been here. We moved here. Dakota's 8th grade year, so this is our 7th year here at Flat Rock and being part of the Southwestern community. So it's home. It's been a wonderful opportunity for me to do what I love to do, and that's preach and to teach people about Jesus and to inspire those to come to a closer relationship with Him.
That's great. That's fantastic. And so what we're all going through now has changed everybody's business model, right? So Dave has changed his business model with Cummins Engines. My industry, I work in the healthcare industry. That's completely changing right now. My work as it relates to the healthcare industry now has changed. And so change is a part of life, right? And how do you adapt to change? And so why don't you talk a little bit about how, we talk about some of those adaptations that kids have to take from the court, and now you're having to put that into play from your profession. So what are some of the obstacles that you've had to overcome over the last, 6-8 weeks professionally with what's gone on with this COVID-19?
Well, as a preacher, your job is to fill the pews, and when they're empty, something's wrong. So that's been a big challenge, and especially as a people person, as someone who just thrives around being around people. It's been a different thing talking to a screen like this and talking to a microphone instead of to people. I especially in my style of teaching, I like feedback. I love getting interaction. I love seeing the eyes of the people.
We really appreciate what you do for our kids. We greatly appreciate what you do for the Spartan Heads. And, you've always been a supporter of Dave and I's, but, what you're doing for your community right now is very important. It's recognized and very appreciated, and we thank you very much.
Well, it's my pleasure, my honor. So, in the Spartan world and being a part of that, but also just part of Shelby County and Flat Rock and all that. It's a pleasure to be a part of this family.
Yeah. All right. Well, we appreciate your time again, Coach. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great evening, and we'll see you once this all comes undone, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
See you on the tennis courts.
See you, buddy. You're 2 seniors, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's where it was. And the other part that made it even harder was here I Haley Jones, who I've only seen her on the other side of the court. And I really, I remember her playing, but I didn't notes on that because I didn't know I was getting her the next year. And what was wonderful too with Haley becoming a part of that, she was known at the bit because she wanted to be a part of that family. I mean, it was very evident because even what was really nice, even just in those early practices when you would just hear them talk to one another, there was such encouragement from the whole team, even though they didn't really, like we had, with Haley, we had another transfer from Edinburgh come in. We had some people who really didn't know each other, but yet they were bonding as family, and encouraging one another to make themselves better, better athletes and better tennis players.
Let's talk about Abby Marshall and what she's meant to the program. You've been with her for a couple of seasons now. Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about Abby Marshall.
Abby Marshall is just one of those kids that she's kind of the sparkle to the group.
Okay. Sparkle to the group. Explain that. What does that mean?
I mean, she is always with a smile. She's always positive energy. And she would be a kid that, I mean, over the last 2 seasons even, where I would pull aside and say, am I off base here? When I'm trying to, because, you know, coaching boys is one thing, coaching girls is a whole nother psychology. And nothing against my girls, I think they know that. But Abby was always just one of those where I could go to and I knew I could get an honest answer. And she was just always there with a positive energy. She, very much like Abby Sweet, just when she enters the room, when she enters the court, when she's there, she's a positive influence because she's just that type of caliber of a kid. But what I love about her, just like Abby Sweet, when Abby Marshall goes out in the court, she's there to fight. She is going to give you everything and then some. And that's what and she really worked hard during the off season, realizing, because at that time we had no idea that Haley Jones was going to come and help our team in that way. But then here we have this, wow, we have coming into this, Abby really stepped up where she was mainly a doubles player going through most of her career. She realized that her senior year, I'm gonna have to play singles, and that's a big difference in play. And she really worked hard. She worked hard on her serves, worked hard on her movement because she was gonna have to move differently on the court to make that happen. And she went out that was her, on her. She put that upon her shoulders. She didn't get pushed by coach. She just said, "Hey, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna push hard on this." And even probably where I was maybe even wanting her to stay in that doubles arena and stay in the doubles portion. She says, "I'm gonna fight hard in the singles," and she did. She earned that spot very, very by a lot of hard work.
Well, it's an attribute, or it's a testament, I guess, to her wanting to continue to improve in her craft, not to settle, and really inspire and lead in her own way the younger kids that she's going to be around, and tell the story about, I didn't settle to be where I was. I was going to achieve more, and do myself proud, do my coach proud, right? But again, I go back to the comment you had a little bit earlier, Coach, is that if she doesn't love the game, if she doesn't love the coach and love her teammates, she's not going to aspire to get out of her comfort zone, because it's easy to stay in your comfort zone. It's easy to do what I've always done and just accept the fact I'll just continue to get what I've always got. But here's the kid that wanted more, right?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. So I had that. So, it was a lot of question marks, and we were still in the early stages of practicing before we got, cut off because of the virus. But just that whole process of still trying to figure out who's going to play where. I did have some people, some players, Sydney with some experience, and then my 2 seniors with some experience, and then even my younger ones, that were coming up, Lauren and Kinley, they were coming in, but experience because they got to hit last year with us and different things. So it was going to be, Kyla Robertson, man, she has taken this sport, and she's, I think, she's a little worried, and we've already had some conversations. She's like, okay, I didn't get to play this season, and now next season I'm probably going to have to play number 1. Yep, it's freaking her out. But she's got time to take lessons, to get practiced up, to be ready, and to have that set in stone, for next spring. And I told her, I said, everybody else is in the same boat as you.
Okay.
No one else. Everybody else is having to sit at home and not getting to play tennis as well. So I said, don't freak out too much. You're in the same boat as everybody else. So.
And in that same scenario, you're seeing this now all over Twitter, from basketball. I see it in volleyball. Coaches are just inspiring their kids during this time off by saying, hey, just go work harder. If you're a junior and didn't get your junior year and you want your senior year to be fantastic, go work harder right now. There are nets, there are garage doors, there are anything that you want. If you've got concrete in a wall or concrete in a basket, you can get work in right now. And I just know there are a lot of kids out doing that right now.
Playing, like you said, you can go hit against the garage door all day long. Especially
That's right.
that's
That's great.
hitting a ball. I have some friends that are still a part of Indianapolis tennis. It's called a National Junior Tennis League. It's NJTL. It's the Arthur Ashe Foundation. It's a big tennis program in Indianapolis, and each week, even what they're doing is they're showing, here's some tennis stuff that you can do inside. Here's some, here's some things that you can do. Just take the ball and hit it off your racket. Just to have that, have that part of it is a wonderful thing, and learning from that.
It's just experience, right? And the only way you get experience is to go make experience. And so,
one of the things I tell all my players in tennis is, you want to get better, hit 1,000 more balls. You want to get better than that, hit 1,000 more balls, and that's what it comes down to, is hitting more. And it doesn't matter if it's against the wall or if it's in the air or if it's an opponent. 1,000 more balls are going to make you a better player than you were before that 1,000.
The new segment, right, of the trophy room, right, or the man caves.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So let's do just a bit of that if we can. So Coach, we're sat down where we've had a great talk and a great interview here, but there's a couple of things directly behind you that have piqued my interest as we do this video game. So behind you, that looks like it's a blue seat. It looks like a stadium seat.
Yes, it is. It's a stadium seat right there. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And what's above the Wrigley Field montage there with the grass and pictures?
Yeah, that is one year. What year was that? 1998. When I was a youth minister. I was youth minister for 20 years before I became here to Flat Rock to preach. That was a boat or a oar that we were whitewater rafting, and it snapped while we were going through the rapids. And I told my guide, I want that, that broken piece, because it's going in my office. So it was in my office for many years. Now it's down the man cave, and then a lot of the stuff in here, like down on the wall, is a lot of Dakota stuff, and we got city stuff going up there now, and I got a little baby corner of mine.
So I don't believe you.
I'm getting all this video, by the way. So I'm recording our three faces. We'll be able in post to just go and zoom in just on Coach, and so yeah, this is great stuff.
So Coach, I don't believe that you're in a trophy room.
Okay,
could you give us a little walk around, if you please?
Okay, here we go. Well, let's see. Right over here, there's a. Let's see. I can't see. I'm trying to see if I can. Where my hand? Oh, there's a couple pictures of me, and that's my wrestling singlet, and where I went to regional. And there's some here that's fallen down from. I won 3 sectional championships as a wrestler, semi-state once. So that.
What weight class?
See, my senior year was a 119 wrestler. That was a half a body ago. I ate that person long time ago. Yeah, I started my first year wrestling in my freshman year. I wrestled at the 98-pound weight class, and had to eat to be heavy enough to wrestle that weight class. I was so light. I was I think it was 92 pounds, and I had to make sure that I was up to 93. I think to make sure I was okay.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Year, I bumped up. I think we had a seat. Our 105 wrestler so during sectionals I wrestled that and got pinned like 5 times in a row, like within 15 seconds. But we got the other trophy stuff. We got all of this stuff.
So those are Dakota's probably traveling trophies when he was younger.
Yeah, some of those. Yeah, some he's got. I don't know. There's some baseball. I guess there's one of mine, and just some different things that he's got through the years, and different all conference medals and all that good stuff going on.
That's great. That's great. No, that's fantastic. And Dave Blondell, we're gonna have to remember this. This is going to be a key that we're going to have to ask, and we may have to get a picture of you, if you still have it, of you in your letter jacket.
Oh, me and my letter jacket?
No.
I think I have one somewhere.
No. In your letter jacket.
In my old. Have you ever seen a fat man in a little coat?
Next up, Spartans fans, is a history lesson on Southwestern Spartan sports from our very own voice of the Spartans, Dave Covington.
Got it. The buzzer! Got it. Kerber to Tyler. Got it. Pull up my Hartsville. Got it. Lucas for three. Got another one. To Christian DeArmond for two. To the corner for KVG3. He got it.
All right, so we're with the voice of the Spartans, Dave Covington, tonight. So, Dave, let's talk about the 1960s and give us your top 5 players from the 1960s. Will you please?
Number 5, I picked Gary Hamner, an all-around athlete. Of course, he wasn't in the class the same abilities as Kenny Gould Jr., Mark McQueen, or Dave Hamilton. They ranked a lot higher, but he was also the Athlete of the Year in 1964. I don't know if they give that award out anymore or not, but he was the one I mentioned at
pretty good.
Athlete of the Year.
It's pretty impressive.
I don't know if they give it anymore. Kenny Gould Jr. Won it in 61, 62, and 63. He's my third pick. And Vern Nightenhauser had to figure in on that.
So who's number 4 then, Dave?
I went with Vern Nightenhauser. Then Kenny Gould Jr. And I don't think anyone could top Mark McQueen or Ray Hamilton. They're the ones that put the Spartans on the map, won the county championship in 69, and part of 69 played in the 70s and won the county title then. But I put those two in the 60s, even though Hamilton and McQueen had really finished around 1970. But I put them in the 60s.
That's fair. That's fair. They started the season in the 60s. Where did they end up in the tournament, that team from 69 and 70?
Got put up by Shelbyville both times.
Got it. So your top 5 list. Number 5 was again who?
Gary Hamner.
And 4?
I went with Vern Nightenhauser.
Okay, and then 3 was Kenny Gould, right?
Junior. Not to be confused with Kenny Gould Sr., who was Kenny Gould Sr. was the first athletic director ever at Southwestern.
Well, there you have it. All right. And then number 2?
I went with Mark McQueen.
And then number 1 was Raymond Hamilton, right?
Yeah. And Ray Hamilton's statistics were self-explanatory.
And he was in the introductory or the inaugural class of the Southwestern Athletic Hall of Fame. He and his family came out, which was great. So there you have it. The top 5 basketball players, the top 5 athletes, basketball players from the 1960s.
We hope you enjoyed our second episode of Spartan Heads. Thanks to Coach Ebersold and the voice of the Spartans, Dave Covington, for sharing his thoughts on the players of the decade on this episode.
Spartan Heads, you need some sports in your life? Don't forget, you can go back and watch your favorite games on our YouTube channel at Dart Media Group.
Tune in next week as we visit with Southwestern varsity volleyball coach, Coach Caleb Tinnell, as we look back at his first year as the varsity coach. We celebrate his 2020 seniors, and we hear about his plans for the 2021 season, and more from the voice on his thoughts about the best Spartan basketball players from the past.
As always, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Flat Rock Ag, Larry Moore Construction, Kokomo Grain, and Flat Rock Precision. For Dave Blondell, our executive producer, I'm Kurt Carell. Thanks for tuning in to Spartan Heads.